The point is, I think people often get labelled a certain way.
Because I was foreigner and I'm learning a new language and stuff like that, yeah, you can feel a little rejected.
The whole point of Love Island is a show.
Yeah,
and,
for sure.
you know, people want entertainment.
Brazilians are emotional.
Yeah. Do you think you're emotional?
Fiery, emotional.
You've had this situation with some negative attention. What would be your advice to someone?
Stay true to yourself. Go ask your mum who you are. Go ask your best friend who you are. If people are saying negative things to you, remember who you are. Always remember who you are.
I think one of the things you said about self-reflection is so important because our mind takes us to the future or the negative. So important that come into the moment. I'm here, life's good, I'm healthy. If we fast forward 5 years, where would you want to be? Where would you like to see
5
yourself?
years.
I'm delighted to welcome Nathalia on the podcast as she's just got such an interesting story. She's 23 years old. She was on Love Island for only 4 days and she got so much attention, much of it negative, from when she came out. And we get to unpack that here. We look at her self-resolve, her self-resilience. And so I hope you enjoy the podcast as much as I enjoyed chatting to her. Hi, Nathalia. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast today. How are you doing?
You're welcome. I'm really good, thank you.
Brilliant, brilliant. Long travel from London, I guess?
Yeah, it's just like 2 hours and a half, but
Okay.
It was nice and chilled. So
What do you think of the weather in Manchester?
beautiful. I mean, typical British weather, isn't it?
Yeah, a lot of rain, I know, but it's clearing up now. So, well, obviously, a lot's happened recently with you. How are you finding things?
Yeah, things have been good. I mean, really busy. I feel like I'm everywhere, but it's been good.
Okay, so let's go straight into it. So obviously you went on Love Island. How did you find the experience?
So obviously, like going on Love Island, it was, it was a crazy experience. I wasn't there for long, but I would say it's like very unique experience. Not everyone can like relate to it. It's like you get a lot of unexpected sort of like press and things like that, but it was a good experience overall. I think it was okay.
Okay, tell me what made you think I want to go on Love Island?
So they actually like reached out to me, so I got casted to go on the show.
Okay.
And then I thought it would be, I don't know, a fun experience, something nice to try, so I just thought give it a go.
Okay, did you want to find love?
Yeah, I did actually want to
Yeah.
find love. I did. I am ready for love, but obviously it just didn't happen. But yeah.
Yeah, so you were on for, I actually loved watching you on the programme, by the way. You came in,
Thank you.
your personality was clear, and it's obviously you were just being genuine in yourself. So you came in 10 days before the show finished, and you were there for 5 days, so a really short amount of time. Was that what you were expecting?
Not what I was expecting at all. So like at first I was told I was going to be flying in early in June, so I was going to be an early bombshell.
Okay.
And then when I actually went to Spain, I was told I would go in 3.5 weeks before the show finished. And when I went in, it was like less than 2 weeks for the show to finish. So that was not what I was expecting at all.
No.
So that was the downside of it.
So really something completely
It was a
different.
little bit of like Mission Impossible, I'm not gonna lie. And like I feel like before you go in there, you don't really get the full idea of how strong couples are until you're actually inside and you see it for yourself.
Yes.
And obviously being in there after 24 hours, there was a recoupling, so it was really hard for someone to choose me that they know for 24 hours over someone that they've been with for weeks. But yeah.
I mean, if I'm honest, it's really interesting hearing this side of it. So just even hearing some stuff you're saying, Mission Impossible, you were there to find love. You thought you were going to go in 3.5 weeks before the end.
Yeah.
It ended up being 10 days, recoupling 24 hours later. It probably was Mission Impossible.
Yeah, it was literally
Yeah.
Mission
I can see you putting a smile on it, but for me, I find that a bit challenging, really. It's different to what you expected.
For sure, very different. I just feel like once I was already in Spain, I had been quarantining already. I didn't have my phone. I hadn't spoken to like my friends or my family for a good 10 days. I mean, I had to at least give it a shot and go.
Of course.
And also, like, as a viewer, when you're just watching it, again, you don't get the idea of how strong the couples are until you're inside the house. Because obviously, like the show, we watch 1 hour of it and it's 24 hours. So you don't see fully until you're there, basically.
Yeah, of course. So if we look at your Love Island experience, what would you say were your 3 positives of your Love Island experience?
3 positives, I think, is helped me to just like be stronger as a person.
Yeah.
So being in there, I had some, even though I wasn't there for long, I had moments where I had to really be strong. So I feel like going in there helped me like be stronger as a person. It also helped me to try and focus more on the positive things, because there was like a lot of negative things that I could focus on. So by going in there, I'm just pushing myself to focus on positive things. And it was just nice to like meet some of the people in there as well. Like I've made very good friends with Lacey. She's such a lovely girl.
Yeah,
so I
I've seen
think that was a positive experience from going in there as well.
Yeah, so may not have found love, but you found a good friend. I
Yeah,
can see
for
that
sure,
you guys
yeah.
spend time together. It's lovely. And so you've come out and you were trying to find love, and you know that's what you were hoping for. You kind of sounds like you got a bit of the tough end of the stick, and you're being very
Yeah.
polite, I think, and very kind about it. And Mission Impossible. You've then come out. How have you found acclimatizing to? Is there a difference now to life after Love Island?
Well, I would say the difference is mostly like on social media and like press, because obviously like I was doing a little bit of social media, but it wasn't nothing as big as it is now. And I wasn't really like in the public eye. So like I think that's the main difference. Getting like comments from people and messages and articles and things like that. So I would say that's the main difference from my life before going on Love Island.
And how have you found that?
Obviously like there's been some things that can be challenging, like I just don't think some people don't understand the whole situation, and they just like judge straight away, or they'll just take it for what it is. And they forget that it is a television show at the end of the day, and like it is edited, it is it's not like 100% exactly like that. So but yeah, I mean some days are more challenging, some days are harder, but I'm just trying to keep positive and just looking at the good things, because I am getting so much love from it as well, which is great. So yeah.
So it's interesting because I didn't experience what you've experienced, but I kind of had a unique insight to it, because you came to see me. We put a few videos on social. We decided to have a little bit of fun.
Oh God, yeah.
Which I thought was funny, because I like to just
joke,
not
right?
take life seriously.
For sure.
And then
for sure.
suddenly on my feed, I got quite a lot of hate.
Do you know what's funny though? Is that for me, what's crazy is that me and you and Ekin Su, which was the person addressed on the video, we are all completely unbothered by it. Yeah. We're all taking it as whatever, and other people are getting so offended, and they're getting so like invested in it. It's just crazy how much people like focus on these things, and it was just a joke. It was supposed to be an icebreaker, something fun. It wasn't nothing serious,
I think
just
for us
need
it's
to
still
chill. Like they need to just chill.
It's one of those things. I think, as you said, when you're in the public's eye, there's positives and there's some negatives. The joke that I think that we put together, which was a skit, which is meant to be a joke. Obviously, there were some people who found it funny, but there was others who really said some quite nasty comments.
I heard I even ex-Islanders making videos of duetting to the video of me and you.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Who played me?
No, she was just when you could do the. She just put her face on the side of the video, and then she would be like, she said, "Oh, no amount of money would ever make me do that." Yeah. It wasn't even about money. I wasn't paid for that. It was a joke. Obviously came to see you. We had a good day. Just some people they're just looking for any reasons, really.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah. But I mean, I can see you mentioned strength as one of the things that came out. Did you find it difficult?
With the video, or
I'm talking about just the negative attention that can happen.
Obviously, it is difficult. I mean, I'm only a human. I'm only a 23-year-old girl. Like, I'm not like, when I'm getting all this hate thrown at me, I'm not gonna find it easy, am I? It is very hard, and like I said, some days are really harder than others. But at the end of the day, I just try and focus on the people who know me, and the people who actually know me, they love me and they're so proud of me. And for me, that's what matters. Because if they support me and they think, no, that's not how you are, then that's what it matters. People that don't actually know me, whatever they say is not really that important. Yeah.
And, that's, admirable to take that stance. One thing I found difficult that I read, if you don't mind bringing up, is
of course.
You're labelled as a Love Island reject.
Yeah, no, I mean, I was labeled like that on a newspaper. It was the first time. Until then, it was like dumped or something, which is yeah. And then I don't know. They felt the need to add that word in there, which I found completely unnecessary because it's just not like, for me. Obviously, it wasn't nice, but also in general because it's just imposing more hate towards people, which is not needed. Like, people are already struggling with like mental health, and there is so much things out there. Like, you don't need to add more into the negativity. So yeah, that wasn't obviously nice to read, and especially in a phrase where it's completely unnecessary. Like,
yeah. For me, rejection's always been a big thing, and it's got so many negative connotations. You know, rejection to a certain degree defines many of our lives. The ones we feel and when we don't. When you read that, and obviously you see some of the media attention and also the attention from just the general public, obviously you get the positive, you get the negative. How does it actually make you feel?
Obviously, it doesn't make me feel great. Like, it made me feel sad because, you know, it's like, it's not a good word, is it? Nobody wants to hear that they are that. So it did make me feel sad. Yeah, I think mostly like also like not appreciated a little bit. So like, yeah, people like, they don't really understand how things are, and like they just, it wasn't great. It wasn't a great feeling at all. Yeah.
I think even hearing a little bit more of the story, you went to go in 3.5 weeks and then you end up going 10 days before, recoupling 24 hours. It's nothing really to do with rejection there, but the point is, I think people often get labelled a certain way, and I've always found labels tough, actually. You know, that whole words and how powerful they can be.
They are tough because it also brings you like memories and things that you've gone through in your life before, and that it just is a little bit of a trigger, you know. So it's obviously not easy at all, and this is why I felt like I wanted to address it, because I know that I'm not the only person that would feel that way. So it's just unnecessary negative media that, you know, doesn't add into anything. It is not part of it wasn't a story. So for the media to just add more negative things that makes people feel down is just not nice.
How did it trigger you?
Sorry?
How did it trigger you?
No, it's just when someone says like, oh, reject, you think about like you growing up and like your whole sort of like life, and it's like, oh, maybe are they right? Like, it's like you start questioning yourself. It's like, could they be right? Could that actually be, you know, the truth? But I always just try and bring myself back to me and think, no, they don't know me. It's not important. Yeah,
it's tough. Tell me about how you grew up. Did you grow up in Brazil?
Yeah, so I grew up in Brazil. Obviously, I came here when I was like 12. Coming here was a really tough time for me because I couldn't speak English. I was just becoming a teenager, and then sorry, I'm getting a little bit emotional. It was just so sometimes I could feel like, because I was foreigner and I'm learning a new language and stuff like that, you can feel a little rejected. So sorry.
No, it's okay. Can we get a tissue?
Sorry. Like, I'm honestly fine. I'm good. It's just like when you talk about it, you know, it brings certain things up, but it's fine.
I mean, for me, if I'm honest, if there was going to be a word that triggered me, it'd be reject.
Yeah, it's not a nice word.
No. And also, you know, being of a different ethnicity, you know, having to come in, learn the language, you know, things are tough. And inevitably, when you're not part of what is the makeup of society, there's this thing, as we know, discrimination. There's this thing of a difference, and there will be some rejection.
Yeah, for sure. It's just not. It's not a nice word, and I am fine. Like, I'm a very strong person, but obviously, like, sometimes when you talk about these things, it just brings you back memories.
Of course.
But yeah, you know, it is what it is. At the end of the day, there is a lot more things to be grateful and positive for, and yeah. I think as you grow up and you get rejected, it's very difficult sometimes to cope with that. And I'll just leave. Thank you. Thank you. Sorry.
No, of course.
I don't want to be an emotional mess. But,
No, I think, to be honest, I've got to know you, and in a way, with the greatest respect, I see the mask. and I see the mask of strength. And what I mean by that is you're actually a very sensitive person. I know that. I've spoken to you. I've got to know you. But unfortunately, when things happen that you're not ready for, you know, you don't go into Love Island going, oh, I'm going to get a whole load of hate and be called a reject, and that's why I'm going on Love Island. You go on it to potentially find love, but also potentially it becomes a career. You don't expect
you also think you're gonna make friends and you're gonna be part of like this family, which by the time I went in, it was impossible. Like if they were all friends already, they were all a family already, so it's like you're basically like this black sheep turning up, so you don't really have a chance to build a friendship and become part of that family. So it's tough. Going in as late as I went is very tough, and I don't regret it, because I always like to say that I live my life with no regret, and whatever I do is what it feels, you know, right at the time. But I wouldn't recommend people going as late as that. Like I would say go on Love Island, but not as late as I went in. It was too late.
I could see that you went in, you were an outsider, you know, and it was difficult to break into that. And 100%. How could you in such a small space of time? You can't form meaningful connection or relationship.
No friendship or relationship is impossible. You're basically just like, well, to be honest, I think I was just there to add a little bit more drama into the series and make it entertaining for people to watch.
I think they knew that you were a very honest character, genuine, that you'd say what you think, and they brought you in at a time that it probably did cause a little bit of drama. And you're yourself, and that's great. I mean, the whole point of Love Island is a show, and
for sure.
you know, people want entertainment, but not at people's expenses, from what I understand. You know, it's entertainment as you enjoy people's characters and personalities. You know, it's interesting just even chatting to you of, you know, so you came when you were 11, 12. You were then in, was it London or the UK?
So I was in London. I came in, I was 12.
Yes.
And I went to school in London. At the time, it was something completely new. Obviously, like it was that age that you were starting to form friends in Brazil when you're 12 and you're becoming a teenager. So I came in, no friends, no English, no nothing. So it was a really tough time. And then, even like after a few years, my family went back to Brazil, and I stayed here alone, and I had to again be tough again. So it's like, and then now Love Island, so I'm constantly having to be tough. But you know, it is what it is. Yeah,
I think hopefully you've got a support network around you now.
No, for sure. I have like, and this is for me what's important, is because the people around me who are my friends, they love me so much, and I love them so much, and it's like having these people is the main thing. So
you know, it's one of those things. So when I saw, you know, this kind of negativity, which is kind of sometimes perpetuated by what can be a phrase that comes out, so you know, it made me kind of consider, you know, what is reject, what is rejection. You know, when I look at my own life, I've been rejected all my life, because I would say that I'm a little bit of an outsider. I don't think like other people think. I don't conform. You know, if you look at, I'm a doctor, I went into kind of aesthetics and wellness. That's not the normal, you know, way people go. And I've always felt like a little bit of an outsider. I was, you know, in school, you know, I took a long time. I was very short for my age, and I have this thing called vitiligo, as you can see with the white patch on my beard. You know, when you're a child in school with a white patch on your beard, well, actually, no, it's on my skin. It's abnormal. It's different. Like you're saying, you're different. I can't speak the language. I haven't grown up in this culture. And I didn't find school a supportive place. No. You know, I found it a place where every single difference I had was exposed, and I was slightly ridiculed for it. But as you say, it probably made me tough. And so I sit in a place now where rejection has been one of the best things ever to happen to me.
It just it helps you become a stronger person, and you know, life is tough, and if you are weak, you're not gonna get anywhere in life. So it's good to be strong.
I think so. I think rejection helped define me in the fact that I was able to look inside myself about what actually I thought was important and what I valued. Like I know, speaking to you, exactly, you know, Love Island was in a way just a journey point for you. It wasn't the defining moment of your life. And, you know, someone saying Love Island reject kind of makes it, well, that's the defining that's how they're describing you. Well, actually, no. Yeah. You have your own way to describe you. You're doing your own thing. I think you did a great job on social media, just calling it out a little bit.
Yeah, I just felt like I had to, because I understand that, like, I'm strong, and like Love Island is just like, maybe, I don't know, another time that I have to be tough and strong again, but some people aren't, and some people aren't as strong. Some people really struggle. I mean, there's been history of people who's been in the public eye who end up, doing something very
suicide,
sad. And for me, it was just more like, it wasn't mostly about myself. Like, it was more, yeah, obviously I felt it, but if it was just, I'm thinking just about me, I probably wouldn't even have said anything. But I was just basically thinking about other people as well, people who aren't so strong, people who aren't feeling that great, and they can be in the public eye, and then the media encouraging more like negativity and triggering words and things, which is so unnecessary. If it was a whole story about me being dumped from the island, that's totally fine. That's, you stating the but why choose to, in a list of names, add the Love Island reject Nathalia? Like, why? You could just say the Love Island contestant. You can say, it's completely unnecessary. So it's just adding more hate and negativity, and it's just not good.
Yeah. And I guess, you've had that, and it's obviously caused a reaction. I think that is what we see in Love Island. People go on Love Island, they come out of it, and really it's so different, and the world's a different place, and you get exposed to different things. For me, let's just forget that for the moment, because that's how they try and define you. How would you like to be known?
Brave, because I think I'm so brave.
Yeah, I do as well.
Strong, because I think I am very strong. Confident, because I always back myself up. Yeah, of course. I'm kind, I'm a friend, I'm like, there's a lot of things that I am, other than I don't see myself as a reject like they addressed me.
Of course, and you're not. And what I love is actually you've got quite a unique personality, you show it. So I love that about you.
I'm very honest. And like, also, like, because I don't know if it's part of me being foreigner, and sometimes like I can say things which can come across like a little bit too much, but it's not even like coming from a place of bad or hate or like anger. It's just like sometimes I'm like, oh, this is like that, and it's like that. It's like straight to the point. And
it's a cultural thing. You've come from a different culture, a different language.
We don't bit about around the bush. We just
assume everyone should speak English perfectly and come from the English culture. No, it's not like that. I know, and Brazilian culture is very different to English culture. It's very warm. It's very confident. You say what you think, and you're being yourself there, aren't you? Yeah,
Brazilians are emotional as well.
Do you think you're emotional?
Fiery, emotional.
Yeah. And I think that came across. And so, what's the future for Nathalia? What are you hoping to go forward and do?
So, I mean, for the next few months, I'm just, like going with the flow. I'm working on my social media. I want to like build up my brand a little bit more, and, add value as well in creating content that can help people in fashion, beauty, but also like talking about more like confidence, mental health, because I get a lot of like messages from young girls who say like, oh, like, how can I be confident, or this and this and that. So just like carry on working on my socials, and then in the future I have like other projects, but that's a little bit for next year.
Perfect.
But for now it's just working on my socials, building a connection and a relationship with these people that follow me, and that for some reason they believe in me somehow. So it's just doing that.
Well, I think I love the person, as I said, so I know why they follow you. So when, looking at the future, you've had this situation which is some negative attention. What would be your advice to someone? Let's say they're coming out of the villa, or let's just be honest, they're on the playground, or they're in university, or they're in a workplace, and they're getting negative comments, negative attention. How would you advise them to cope with it?
I would just like, firstly, just tell them to like take a deep breath, think, don't like get emotional straight away, and then like look yourself in the mirror and tell yourself all the things that you actually are and who you are, and stay true to yourself, and don't let like go ask your mum who you are, go ask your best friend who you are. Like if people are being saying negative things to you, or like making you feel a certain way, like stop and think, who are these people? Are they part of my life? Do they know me? And just remember who you are. Always remember who you are, where you came from, and your story, your path, because it brings you back to yourself, and it stops you from worrying too much about what other people think that you are. So
yeah, I think that's a big thing. Sometimes when people are surrounded by a bit of negativity, they can lose their identity a little bit, and that can really cause some problems. And so when that started happening and all the the negativity happened, did Love Island reach out? Did you get support?
So ITV's they offer psychological help. I've got calls from them and stuff, so like I can't really complain, and I know they're there if I want to speak with them. So it's just more up to me really if I want to get the help or not.
Of course. Do you feel that you need the help? Do you feel like
I'm fine. I'm okay. Like I've got good friends, I am speaking to a therapist. She's from Brazil. She's in Brazil, but it's just like mostly not even to do with this. It's just I love. Do you know what? I love therapists. I think everyone should speak to a therapist. Yeah. It's just that's another thing that people think. Oh yeah, if you're speaking to a therapist, you have some issues, or you have. No, it's just so good because it's time for yourself. So you take an hour a week where you just talk to someone completely neutral, and you can just tell them about your week, tell them about your day, tell them about anything, about how you're feeling, and they just listen to you. They'll give you nice advice. They'll help you control your emotions. It's just everyone should do it. I mean, the wisest people, the richest people, they all have therapists. So that's something that helps a lot.
I think it's really funny. In the UK, people go to the gym. They spend their time training their body. But for some reason, we stigmatise people training their minds. I think that's so fascinating.
It's honestly ridiculous because especially we live in such a busy life. Everyone is so busy all the time. When do you actually find time to self-reflect and look at yourself and sort of see what's going on with you and your mental health and your mental well-being? Never. So, by having that is that 1 hour that you dedicate for your mind, and is really good because healthy mind, healthy body, healthy life.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. I agree. I think one of the things you said about self-reflection is so important because often we don't, our mind takes us to the future or the negative or things like that. And it's so important that we can just come into the moment, and actually realise, look, I'm here, life's good, I'm healthy, and
you start to realise things about yourself. You start to notice things about yourself. You learn more about you. You grow more as a person. So it's honestly, I love it.
Yeah, I understand. I won't say that personally, just watching you and watching your journey, I would have said that when you went on Love Island, you did the very best you could with your, who you are. You showed yourself. You had the courage to express yourself. For me, I could tell you weren't worried about the cameras. You were just being you, which is what you want to see. You want people to come on and be genuine. And then you come out and I was a little bit surprised myself by some of the negativity. Like I said, I looked into it more when on my socials I saw a lot of negativity. And I do think it requires a massive amount of bravery. I do think
you have to be very brave.
Yeah.
And also when I went in there, come on, it's been weeks. I have been watching the show. I know what the outside world, who everybody loved, who everybody supports. So I could have gotten there and be like,
strategic pick.
I could have pretended, I mean, you do. Yeah, I could have pretended a lot of things. I could have, I don't know, played for the cameras, but I just went with the flow and I just stayed true to myself. And at the end of the day, it's like, as long as you don't lie to yourself, that's the main thing. Because if you go in a place or you do something and you pretend, how long can you keep the pretend going? I would hate just get home and be like, oh my God, I was playing a girl that I don't know who he was on the TV.
Of course.
That would be recorded for life, and I'll be like, who was that?
Yeah, exactly.
So
and I think that's great. I mean, it does surprise me sometimes that I've never really used social media for negative. I've used it for business, as and then wellness. But it amazes me sometimes that people can log on, look at something, and they then come in and they attack. And if I'm honest, when I was reading the comments and then I was seeing some of the media, it almost felt a little bit like bullying, in a way.
Oh yeah, for sure. But do you know what? When I first read this, I'm like, I get a bit annoyed. The Brazilian side of me kicks in, and I get a bit and then I'm like, actually no, I feel sorry for you. Yeah. I feel sorry for them, because if you're a happy person, you're a nice person, you don't sit there sending negativity to. these people, they must have some problems within themselves, you know, and they need help as well. So
I think you're right. I think, you know, someone who's logging on social media and potentially passing
even
negative
making
things.
fake accounts as well is like,
well, they want to hide, don't they? But I think, you know, I don't think, if I'm really honest, they understand the emotion it causes you or others. I think they're doing it and it's passing their time and it's in their mind. But, I don't think they know.
There's so many other ways you can pass your time. I've never personally passed my time by sending anyone any negativity. So I just think
I think that they're kind of caught up with that in their mindset. And I think what's really interesting here is, and talking to you about it is, you know, just in a way, it does hurt. You know, I know you put the strong face on. I know that you're fine and you're coping. But, you know, the worry is you see other people who come off Love Island, other people who come off shows who then don't cope, and they can't cope with negativity or the attention. You know, I was watching Love Island this year and you could see people, I'm not talking about yourself now, other people having a little bit of a mental breakdown just on the show, you know. And so, you know, for me, I think it's brave going on the show. It really puts you out there. You know, I can see where you're going with your brand and I like it and you're going forward.
I think the main thing I would say is like for people to be aware and think before they send out hate to other people and think how that can actually affect them and that how that can actually affect people's mental health. Like just think before you be, you know, sending out those hateful comments. Of how it can impact other people really. So,
exactly. I think, you know, comments are still comments, and, you know, just because we're hidden behind a phone doesn't mean that person will feel it any less different 100%. Than if you're sitting in front of someone.
Just like ask themselves, if I were to read that about myself, would I be happy? No. Okay, so I'm not going to say about it someone else.
I think that's wise. And so going forward, you're settled in London, you're going to stay around and...
Yeah, I love London, you know, like I've been in London since I'm in England, so carry on living in London. I might be moving in with my best friend soon, so we're trying to find a place together, carry on living in London, just enjoying life, see my family hopefully by the end of the year again, going to Brazil. I can't wait to see them, but just living life.
Okay, perfect. And if we fast forward 5 years, where would you want to be? Where would you like to see yourself?
5 years, I'm married or engaged. For sure. For sure. Okay. Married or engaged. Living probably still in London, having my own brand, you know, working for myself.
Yes.
And that's it.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for coming on and just chatting about it and being so honest. You know, I think a lot of people find it inspiring because we don't often hear people being truthful about, you know, how things affect them and, you know, how you've managed to cope with it and do well. But I do think you've done incredibly well, and thank you so much,
Rosh. Thank you.
So Nathalia's podcast was so interesting. You can see how brave she was in much of what's happened. Rejection was a theme that came out, and it's, as I've said previously, it's always painful, but you can see how she coped with it. She grounded herself. She focused on other people's opinions. The challenge with rejection is when we feel it, it's quite an awful emotion to feel, and we can put emotional walls up, and it's so important we are able to break those down. So I'm going to give you a quick guide to how you can deal with rejection if you feel it in your life. The first thing is self-awareness. When you feel rejected, that negative feeling, you know, you maybe get it in your gut, it's important you're self-aware that that is rejection. And you want to cope differently. So the best way is to bring yourself into the present there. So however you may do that, some people meditate, some people will actually look for a color, they'll look to notice something new in the room, but try and bring yourself into the present away from the feeling. Sometimes textures, touching it can help that. So the second point is self-control. Now, self-control is about managing your emotions. You're feeling this negative feeling and you're going to want to act out because you feel a certain way. Try and bring self-control. One of the best ways for self-control is journaling. You know how you're feeling, but what's your goals? What are you trying to achieve? Try and decide what your attitude is in this situation. So the best thing I can advise is journal. The second thing is accountability. So you can look to speak to someone saying, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to achieve. This is my actions. The third thing is self-acceptance. Now, the truth is we all are our worst critics, but for you to accept that difficult times will come, you're not looking to push the feeling down. You're just looking to accept the feeling. You'll understand, like with any roads, there's curves left and right. In life, there's emotions, highs and lows. This may be a low emotional moment for you, but just accept that and understand a high will come, better times will come. And part of the way to do that is self-resilient and self-resolve. That's point 4 and 5. The way to be self-resilient and self-resolve is really just to pick a better path. Know exactly how you want your actions to go. This starts with a negative thing happening and it not becoming a negative attitude for you and a negative action for you that will probably lead to a negative outcome. This is a negative rejection thing happening for you where you try and keep a positive attitude that has a positive action that then will hopefully lead to a positive outcome. And the best ways to do that is to journal, unpack what's happened, and decide strategically how you want to be and how you want to act. I hope you enjoyed Nathalia's podcast as much as I did, and until next time.